who, got caught up in the sponsorship of it all. And so the unidentified submerged objects that we're referring to, for anyone else who may have been confused, because I definitely was. What are you doing? Can I not talk with my hands? Do you think that I'm going to bother the people who are listening to the podcast?
No, you just do that to me when I'm moving my hands, so I'm doing it to you now.
Okay. The child is not doing well. Okay, anyway. What? She's trying to fix mom's issues, and it's not a possibility at this point. So those USOs couldn't, like Nessie and our friendly water monster creatures down in the swamp. I can't remember what they were called.
The lizard man of Skateboard Swamp?
Yeah, that guy. Are those considered USOs as well?
No, USO is a term that the flying saucer community, now that they've realized that a lot of UFOs will, if they're anywhere near water, and there's video of them doing this,
Dive. Okay. All right. I am caught up on the phenomena.
So it's an unidentified submerged object just denotes one that is no longer flying, or rather is flying, but it's doing it under the waves as opposed to in the sky.
Fair enough.
So effectively, it's turned itself into a submarine, but it's still a big glowing light for all we see.
Gotcha.
And that is a common occurrence at Lake Baikal, is seeing these lights, both submerged and above the lake. Yes.
Submerged and above, okay. I thought it would be like an anglerfish or something, but no, definitely not.
No, these are big. And unless it's the world's largest anglerfish trying to capture a bunch of humans, no.
No. Yeah, no.
These are not little lights. So let's talk first about the most famous case that took place in Lake Baikal. Okay? It's 1982. Good year. Hadn't quite graduated high school yet, but I had just gotten into high school. So a group of 7 men were on a routine dive testing equipment. They were at their target depth of 164 meters. That is when they noticed several beings swimming around them. These guys were wearing silver suits complete with transparent helmets, but they didn't have any other diving equipment. There was no rebreathing apparatus, there was no scuba tanks, just these silvery suits, and these things were 10 feet tall.
Ah! Sorry.
And they swam around these guys like they were standing still. Now, mind you, this is a trained military dive team.
Right.
Unless it lives in the water, it shouldn't swim around them like they're standing still, but these things did.
Wow.
They darted around the 7 Russian divers before vanishing into the depths below. Well, the leader of the divers was like, let's capture one.
Well, that sounds stupid.
Well, it turns out you're right, because as they went down to try to capture one, these things all held up like rods. And these rods released what they think is sonic energy or sonic force. The effect was, when they pointed these rods at these 7 divers, the 7 divers were rendered instantly unconscious. Mm-hmm. And then sent to the surface like bullets coming out of guns.
Wow.
Now, when you're 164 meters down...
You can't go up like that. That's bad.
That's bad. 4 of them got the bends. The other 3 weren't much better, but they didn't actually have the bends. So they took the 4 that had the bends to the nearest depressurization chamber, because that's how you treat the bends. Problem is, the chamber only was designed for 1 person. So they willy-nilly tried to cram all 4 of them in there in the hopes that it would help them. Only 1 of the 4 survived.
Oh.
So of the 7 that went down, the 4 that survived had life-altering injuries.
Right.
That's terrible.
So that is the most famous case, and you'll hear varying versions of it. Now, on the bottom of the lake, and we're talking at the depth of a mile plus, right?
So, like, regular people can't go down there, right? Isn't that too deep to dive?
I don't know if it's too deep to dive, but it's harder to dive. I know that, like, Josh Gates has made a dive somewhere near that, but I mean, you can't stay down very long, and there's all sorts of... But on the bottom of the lake, they found caterpillar tracks. And when I say caterpillar, I'm not talking about the little insect that turns into a butterfly. Caterpillar, in this case, is essentially a smaller version of a bulldozer.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm not explaining necessarily.
Like running, like a runner track, like a tank or something like that kind of.
Right. So, but they found these tracks on the bottom of the lake.
Which definitely shouldn't be there.
Right. The Russians don't have anything that could drive on the floor of the lake bed or even any caterpillars stationed in the region.
Wow.
Now, multiple witnesses have seen USOs and UFOs entering or exiting the waters of Lake Baikal. Many of these have been pursued by the Russian military without being caught, moving at speeds no modern mode of transportation can match. Now, during the late 1950s, a Tu-104 jet crashed in the lake after it was pursued by an unknown metallic vehicle. The frantic pilot radioed a distraught message to air traffic controllers informing them of this alleged attack. According to informants, all staff on duty at the time were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements. Numerous community fishermen attested to viewing the frightening aerial attack. Anglers described how a silver flying saucer chased a plane until it plummeted into the water and disappeared from their sight. Despite considerable testimonies, no conclusive evidence or official records of this event have ever surfaced.
Well, that's definitely concerning.
Now, in April of 2009, this region made global headlines again. Astronauts aboard an International Space Station photographed two circular convection breaks, thought to be produced by enormous aquatic crafts. One was located near the lake's center, while the other was positioned towards Baikal's southern end. Both appeared to be created by something ascending beneath the thick, ice-laden outer layer. The pair of disc-shaped cracks were perfectly symmetrical and astonishingly measured 3 miles in diameter.
Wow.
These immense fractures were so precise, making them impossible to manufacture or replicate. Certain researchers believe the NASA-produced images are evidence of spaceships emerging from the dark waters below.
Oh, jeez.
Yet another unsettling occurrence took place in 2011 when an alien body was discovered. Now, I've seen this footage. It is on YouTube. And so I don't know how accurate it is or how produced it is. So I'm going to, like I always do when I don't know how official something is lay out that this could be hokum, this specific one. But it shows an Irkutsk resident guiding the cameraman towards a forested area. Atop the snow-covered ground lies a small extraterrestrial. It possesses an enlarged cranium, opaque grayish body, and dark eyes blankly staring ahead. Something appears to have ripped off the creature's right leg.
Wow. That's wild.
So, and then it was only 4 years ago, so 2016 or 2017, Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev made a shocking announcement at the World Economic Forum. In his public statement, he lamented how the time has come for the world to know the truth about extraterrestrial visitors, and he believes aliens are already living amongst us and have been doing so for quite a while. He warned if the United States officials refuse to come forward with this monumental information, Russian representatives will do so themselves. So, given recent UFO-related announcements and unveiled files, it is entirely plausible that Kremlin is gearing up for full disclosure.
Wow.
Some Russian officials, even under Vladimir Putin, have theorized that Lake Baikal is home to a massive underwater alien base. And as I said, the Buryats and local fishermen have stories dating back centuries regarding strange craft emerging from the waters and lights over and under the lake. So that is what's happening at Lake Baikal.
That's wild. So, I mean, I am a believer that there's got to be life out there. I think it's too... I mean, the universe is just too vast. I mean, 20 billion? 20 trillion. What did you say? Quadrillion?
Quadrillion.
20 quadrillion miles. There is no way that we are the only life form in 20 quadrillion miles. It's just foolish to even pretend that we think that that's the case. It can't be.
I firmly agree that it's impossible that there's not something out there. And honestly, most of what I see in Lake Baikal, minus let's take the alien body video out of the equation.
Sure.
Because we don't know how produced that is.
Yeah.
Everything else rings true to me. Everything else sounds plausible to me.
Sure.
And that being the case, I have to say that I think something is going on at Lake Baikal. That something has taken up
Absolutely.
a post there of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that somewhere in the government people know about these things. And they should maybe tell people before they go, I don't know, swimming deep in a lake where they suspect something is living. Because it kind of puts the deaths of those 3 men on your head.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if you know something is there, and we know they're gray-skinned and 10 feet tall. From our episode, The Grays, we know there's 2 kinds of grays. There's the short grays that everybody knows about, and the tall grays. These almost certainly sound like the tall grays, which are, if I remember right, are mostly servitors. They mostly work for the smaller... And if that's the case, then trying to capture one was maybe the world's dumbest idea.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that those people diving were not going, let's see. Maybe these guys are servitors and we shouldn't try to... I mean, I think trying to capture anyone or anything is stupid anyway. But... I mean, I'm sure they weren't thinking in those terms because, they usually don't.
So, in summary, for me only, I'm going to say, if I were going to tour some of the world's UFO hotspots, I think you have to include Lake Baikal.
Sure.
I think something really is happening there, and I don't even pretend to know what aliens are, whether they're actual aliens from other worlds, whether they're visitors from other dimensions, maybe even us from another time.
Sure.
I don't know. But I will say I think there's some in Lake Baikal. And they've probably been there for a minute. Krista, do you have thoughts?
Here's my thoughts on this. Well, I could see how this is aliens and stuff. It could also be some other weird thing. It, connects with the different dimension thing that you have in your head, which I've been keeping in my head this whole time, but when you started saying it.
Well, that's
the multiple layers of reality?
Yeah. This also mixes with that, because huge light, nothing we've seen before has a huge light like that. It's not just gonna flash before our eyes and see, maybe the people that were down there were being trapped because they weren't supposed to see something. You never know. But